Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you're well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more Reddit stories, and if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too. And let's crack on with today's first story. Much love guys. Now today's first story comes from A Cold Bowl of Nothing, and it says, in-laws straining my marriage, but it's my fault apparently. First post, so bear with me. About a year ago, me, 28 female, and my husband, 30 male, allowed my brother-in-law, 19 male, to move in with us to get him out of a rough situation and help him start adulting. This was about May of last year. I agreed to have him move in with the promise from brother-in-law and husband that it was only going to be a couple of months until brother-in-law found a roommate to move out with. He is also to pay some rent monthly, as he has a full-time job now, keep his area clean and help out around the house. Keep in mind I have 2 children under the age of 5 and also work, and I'm still the housekeeper, cleaning, cooking food, etc., while my husband also works about 60 hours a week. Fast forward those couple of months, no luck on finding a roommate. Brother-in-law is still living with us. Okay, he's young. I'm just going to give him some more time to figure this out. I'm trying to be understanding and gracious, as I also had some help getting on my feet at this age. I've confronted brother-in-law a few times asking, so how is the roommate search going? You found an apartment yet? Only to be answered with shrugs and I don't know. I will say at this point I'm starting to feel in the dark with what is actually going on. As in, is there a plan of him moving out? Is he even looking for a roommate or an apartment? Husband says just give him more time and that he's working on it. Frustrated, it's Christmas time now and he's requesting to have his girlfriend of 2 years who lives out of state to move in too, with the promise that she has a job and they will move out in 1 month. I tell my husband that I'm not comfortable with it, as brother-in-law was not supposed to be here at this time in the first place. Husband says I'm overreacting and starts making comments of making me sound like I don't care about his family. Angry, I just shut down and keep my mouth shut to avoid the argument. My next mistake. Girlfriend moves in and surprise surprise doesn't have a job and claims she's been looking for one for 3 months now since living under my roof. Fast forward to now, rent is not being paid anymore, the cleaning of their own area has stopped, and there has been absolutely no trying to find a way to move out of my home. I've quit asking brother-in-law questions to keep myself from being furious and directed the questions towards my husband. At this point, I'm done trusting that my husband has any plan or control in this whole situation, which is driving me insane. Anytime I bring it up to my husband, I'm met with hostility and accusations of just wanting to throw his family out on the street and that I shouldn't be upset with this because I agreed to it. Agree to what? Yes, I agreed to brother-in-law moving in for a couple of months. Yes, I graciously gave him extra time to figure things out. At this point, I no longer feel comfortable in my own home, and every day me and my husband argue about it, which always turns into very ugly outcomes. We don't even sleep in the same bed anymore. I'm annoyed that I've been conned into taking on 2 grown adults while trying to raise my own family. I'm angry that I'm being made out to be the bad guy when all I wanted was to be helpful. I don't know what to do anymore. I guess my main question to the Reddit world is, am I the arsehole here because I let this all happen in the first place? Now of course, absolutely you're not the arsehole here with good intentions and now people are taking the piss. Of course you probably should have put your foot down a lot earlier, but at the same time your husband is completely disregarding your boundaries and gaslighting you with, you agreed to this nonsense, followed by manipulation of that you don't care about the family or this sort of shit. And I simply wouldn't be putting up with that anymore. I'll be telling your husband they need to go. You need to tell your brother he needs to move out. But a commenter says to OP, it is your fault. You allowed yourself to get into this situation because you have no backbone and you're allowing yourself to be treated like a welcome mat. You need an adult meeting with the 4 of you. You need a timeline when these adults are leaving your home. If your husband doesn't support this, you need a timeline of when you're removing yourself and your children from this environment. You need to follow through. You're not the arsehole. OP replied to that saying, thanks for the honesty. I do feel it is my fault for allowing it to go this far without any real action on my part. I guess this is a learning opportunity for me to not internalize my feelings until it's too late. Commenter says not the arsehole, but that sounds like a terrible situation. Something you may not have considered. If the girlfriend or brother-in-law go the legal route, because they have been there that long, they could actually fight being evicted. Your husband is the arsehole in this case. Tell him he has to clean up their area, make their dinner, etc. Any food they eat should come out of his spending money. Another commenter says you have a husband problem. Get into marriage counseling. Find alternate housing for you and the kids. Now, if counseling doesn't work out. Take your kids and visit family or friends for a couple of weeks and let him sort it out with his brother. Then tell him the condition that you will return home is when they are gone. Or you won't return and you can divorce. And the last comment says not the arsehole. You're effectively a doormat for your scheming and conniving husband. Either take the kids and split or throw the husband and freeloaders out. If you don't, you'll be in the exact same position 10 years from now. So, at some point later, OP came back into the post with the update. The first part of the post, they recapped what we just read and then said, "First, I would like to say thank you for all the different perspectives. Most of all the responses says I should just kick all three of them out and say good riddance. I will say some of the responses gave me a good little laugh in this extremely frustrating situation, so thank you for that too. Taking everything into consideration, I gave my husband an ultimatum last night, and I'm sticking to it. They need to be gone by June 1st, with all rent paid according to how I laid it out, or else I'm moving out with the kids into an apartment. I'm also not cooking for them, just enough for me and the kids. All laundry detergents and toiletries will be kept in my closet, and internet passwords will be changed. Now, before I get 2 months is too much time for them. Hear me out. This is also time for me to get my ducks in a row should I actually be moving out, which, in theory, I'll know by mid-May if they aren't moving out, if they don't have anything lined up by then. I really do doubt my husband is wanting this to actually happen, me and the kids moving out, but I wouldn't put it past him thinking that I'm bluffing. All in all, I would hope it doesn't have to come to that point. I'm happy to learn though, after sketching a quick budget, that I'll be able to support me and both my children with my own income, if worst came to worst. Thanks again." Someone asked OP about what the husband said after she told him. OP said he was surprisingly not as hostile as he usually has been. I say not as because there was no yelling or swearing. He pretty much said I was overreacting and crazy to think that would even need to happen in the first place, since they'd be out by then. If you could see my eye roll right now. Shake my head. Commenter says, yeah, he doesn't believe you have any intention of actually leaving. I'd let him know if you leave there will be no reconciling and you will divorce and demand the house to be sold. So one way or another, they will be moving out. OP says I do see what you're saying because I thought about how to go about selling the house if I leave. I will be honest and say that at this exact moment, I'm not looking for divorce. I'm willing to give him the opportunity to at least try to salvage the mess he created. Unfortunately, it might just take me stepping out to realize where he messed up. On the other hand, if it does turn into divorce, at least I'll already have me and my kids established in a new place. Another commenter says, based on how your husband has dealt with the situation, I hope he is not calling your bluff, but be ready. Good luck. Another commenter says, I think your husband thinks you're bluffing and he'll try and con you again. He might say they'll move out and then guilt you for the next 2 months, and then sometime in May, he'll tell you that they just need a little more time. Be prepared for more bargaining and guilt tripping. Do not negotiate with them. I wish you luck. I hope your husband chooses well. Not the arsehole here. And the final commenter says, not the arsehole. I suggest 2 other things to help motivate your husband and show him how serious you are. Get an attorney to prepare a legal separation document. In this document, make sure you have sole decision making for your 2 children. Moving out is not just living in an apartment. It also means you have to be responsible in case your kids are sick, etc. The second thing is to prepare a demand letter for the back rent. Both of these documents are intended to show your husband that his lack of action is the reason your marriage is failing. He needs to understand how serious this is, and it is not an empty threat. You are sleeping in separate rooms. I can't imagine how dumb he is and why he's not treating you and your children as more important than his brother and girlfriend. His priorities are all screwed up. Good luck. ETA, do this now. Do not wait until June 1st. The objective is to avoid moving out, so this will motivate your husband. but meanwhile keep looking for a new apartment, just in case. I kind of had the feeling after this one, obviously I don't know if it's going to happen, but he is going to call her bluff on this and she's going to end up moving out because of it. And the fact that, the husband isn't doing anything about this at all, quite happy to let them both move in, not pay rent, and just continue living there without doing anything or contributing anything is absolutely wild to me. But what do you guys make of this situation? Put yourself in OP's shoes. How would you deal with it? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. And let's move on to another story. Now, our next story comes from the Relationship Advice subreddit from a throwaway account that says, my coworker, 18 male, put me, 22 female, on a hear me out cake and posted it online. Do I take action in some way? Now, I didn't know what it meant by a hear me out cake. It's the first I've ever heard of it. So if you're anything like me, I just did a quick Google and I'm not sure if it's correct yet because I read the stories with you at the same time, so I don't know what it's going to involve. But Google says TikTokers have been recording themselves gathered around a cake with prepared cutouts of their most controversial crushes, which can be real people or fictional characters, attached to wooden dowels. This trend is known as a hear me out cake. And also, just to add, there is a trigger warning on this one of sexual harassment, so as always, timestamps are down in the description along the timeline below. Thank you. And it starts, I work at a diner as a waitress with this kid. Let's call him John. John has always seemed pretty chill and busses my tables. Sometimes we chat if we are closing together, usually about school, as he started college not too long ago and I am almost graduated with my BA. Ultimately, we are friendly but not friends. Last week he said that he was part of a group chat with a handful of co-workers on Instagram and asked if I wanted to join. I said sure because I haven't connected with people at the diner that well and figured it was worth a shot. We swapped instas, the group chat is very normal, friendly banter between co-workers. Yesterday, I see that John posted a reel of him and a couple of his buddies doing their take on a hear me out cake, which is usually a very light-hearted and funny way of saying you would get with what are typically fictional and mostly animated characters. The entire cake adhered to that concept, except towards the end, when my face, a picture that he must have screenshotted from one of my posts, is stuck on the cake. I was the only real person on that cake, and John actually made a comment about how attractive I was and that he wished that he could hit that, but doubts he has a chance. I feel insanely grossed out and kind of violated. I want the video taken down, but I'm not sure if I have the right or authority to do that. I ranted about this to my sister, and she told me to take it as a compliment and be glad that someone thinks I'm pretty. It feels wrong doing that. Is this grounds for taking this issue to higher ups? I don't know if I'm comfortable working with him at the moment. Do I just take care of this myself and tell him that it makes me uncomfortable and I want him to take it down? It is a public video. I'm just uncertain how to move forward. A commenter says to the OP, this would make me uncomfortable too. I feel like he posted this knowing you'd see it and hoping you'd respond positively to it. Either way, it's awkward, and I'm sorry you're in this position. I'm cringing for you. I think the fastest way to get it taken down would be to talk to him about not being comfortable with your photo on a public video. If he apologizes and takes it down, I'd say you may not need to escalate. If you have a decent relationship with your manager, it may not hurt to ask to shift your schedule around to avoid him too. Good luck, OP. OP says, I was wondering if it was a tactic of some kind, like making a move without making one. I don't know. It's too young for me anyway. I think I will see if I can get my manager to help with my schedule. But because of my classes, I don't think I could change much unless I want to work fewer hours. Thanks for the support though. I think I will try to word a message to John now, asking him to take it down. Commenter says, a shameless, direct approach out in the open with minimal reaction. That serves to call him out and make him feel like a weirdo. Objectively, it is a very weird thing to do. It was a joke. That's a pretty creepy and weird joke, don't you think? Best case scenario, he takes it down and realizes he's blown any chance he thought he had with you because you think so little of him that he can't even get a reaction out of you. Worst case, he doesn't take it down, and I say report him at work. AP replies saying, so I should cut the niceties. Commenter says, I think being direct and confident is the way to go. Speaking as if it is so obvious that it was a weird thing and that anyone would think so. This boy is interested in you, so in general, any niceties you give him may be interpreted as encouragement. Just my opinion. Opie says, thank you for your perspective. I've been told I am too nice and can be a bit of a pushover, so your comment kind of struck a chord. Commenter says, hearing your sister's reaction, I'm not surprised you're a people pleaser. It must have been tough growing up in a place where people don't support you standing up for yourself. I can relate. Opie says, I'm naturally quiet and introverted, which doesn't help. My immediate family isn't particularly supportive in nature, but I do have support in my life that I'm grateful for. I just don't get to see them as often as I would like. If you haven't found your support system yet, I feel for you. Hope things go your way. Thanks for your kind words. And another commenter says, others are given some good advice. I just want to add that your sister's comment is disgusting as well. Not only is it dismissing his gross behavior, she's also outright insulting you. Opie says, honestly, I think she has some issues with male attention and male validation. She's willing to take a lot of bullshit from men just because she likes the attention. That comment she made kind of opened my eyes once the initial sting stopped. That final comment says, which was the top one, says, go up to him at work and say, hey, can you delete that video you made about me? The one where you printed a picture of my face and put it on a cake. It's really fucking weird. And I gotta be honest, I kinda like that final comment there. As long as you think he isn't gonna flip out or do some more weirder shit, just going directly up to the dude and saying, you need to remove that video. But just around 20 or so days later, OP updated their post and says, hi. I don't know if this is how you do an update, but this is how I'm doing it. So I screen recorded the video and sent it to my manager. We're on good terms and I was hoping that she would understand and we could rework the schedule so that I don't have him bussing my tables and we won't have to interact. She said that this is very odd and maybe a violation of conduct. She told me not to stress about the details and that she would take care of it. I'm very grateful with how seriously she took it. She had moved me around so that I will not have to see him as much, and I only have a handful of time since then. He has avoided eye contact with me entirely. Once my manager was aware of the video, I DM'd John on Insta saying, the video you made in which you put my face in a hear me out cake for social media is gross and unprofessional. We're co-workers. I did not greenlight being posted online and sexualized like that. I've talked with manager about the situation and my discomfort and would like you to take the video down. You used my image without my consent. He responded and apologized, saying that he and his friends were drunk and that he made that video on a whim. He told me he thought I was cool and wouldn't have a problem with it. He said he would take it down but never once actually said sorry, just gave those excuses. It was deleted. He's been having to take an online course about sexual harassment and workplace misconduct or something like that. Something probably meaningless, but at least it is slightly a pain in the ass. The only thing now is that he has busybody buddies that side-eye and kind of glare at me because of the action I took. On the bright side, they probably won't fuck with me like that. Anyways, thanks to anyone reading. I'm not sure if anyone will see this, but the comments on the last post were mostly helpful, and I'm grateful for the perspective that you guys provided. So thanks. Commenter says to OP after this one, ugh, sorry that happened. The way people normalize posting strangers and acquaintances etc. online is so weird, and even worse in this way. I'm glad your manager took it seriously, and I'm sorry that happened. OP says, I know. I've always tried to be really private and protective of myself online, so this was especially unwelcome. Thanks for the kind words. Commenter says, saying that you want to hook up with an attractive woman you know in real life is absurdly incorrect understanding of what the thing actually is. It's meant to be more like, I think the bee from B-Movie is hot. What the fuck, dude? Hear me out. OP says, I initially thought he was saying I was ugly. That's what I was wondering about the whole thing as well, because according to that description on Google, it's like meant to be controversial crushes, like, which says it can be real people or fictional characters, but they're meant to be sort of controversial. But thinking about the whole process of this as well, you know, he said he was drunk with his friends and had done it on a whim. Guy went to the effort of printing out her face, sticking it with sticks on it or whatever to put into a cake. It's just like, you know, that's not a whim to me. It's weird as shit, but What do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. How would you take it if you was in OP's position? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. And just a huge thank you for being here today, getting involved in the stories, your love, your support, your time. It always means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to be here. And I will see you in the next one. Take care and much love.